Hello there, and welcome back to TapCaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast with absolutely no technical problems on a weekly basis, and where both the hosts can speak. I'm Corey, joined as always by Justin. How you doing this week, Ek?
Are we alive? We're for sure live.
We're live. We're live. It's happening for real this time. It's not going to the wrong stream key. Nothing's been reset. I really hope there's not a second stream going live on my channel right now.
But, I mean, twice the viewers, right?
What's 2 times 5?
I don't know. That's kind of outside of my pay grade, but yeah.
Outside on the lower end, is that what we're?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine.
Yeah, happy to see you, Corey. It's been we did last week, right? So we
did last week. Yeah. We're only late in that we were supposed to do this last night. I forgot that I had a meeting to be at. And instead of doing a Star Wars talk, I got to listen to people complain about condo stuff. So
I was going to tweet something like, when you put out the thing that you had to, we had to postpone because you had a thing. I was going to put a tweet out like me when I have to spend my night doing whatever I want instead of talking to this fucking idiot and just like a happy face or something. Like people are already, there's that long meme that we don't like each other. So
yeah, we can't encourage those comments.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how have you been doing in the 8 days since we last talked about it? Like we make sure to not contact each other between the episodes. We never speak.
Well, that's easy because I've got no desire to speak to you. So yeah, no, it's been good. Actually, my dogs have been like shitting all over the house for the past week.
Oof.
Murphy got sick, and then Remy got sick. So that's why the dog bed. I pre-stream. I was like trying to get my dog bed back together because Remy diarrheaed on it. So yeah,
that's nasty. Well, this morning we actually, not to break kayfabe here, but we did have a separate FaceTime call this morning with everyone in together to look at a brand new acquisition of Eckhart's Ladder Industries. You've joined me in having a nearby gamer fridge, which, how's that feel?
I mean, I'm maybe 2 rolls away.
Yeah, it's a good life. Mine's unplugged.
I did the math. It's going to cost me about $20 a year in energy. It's not very efficient. And I spent it took me like literally 25 minutes to switch the side the door opened on. Which felt like a really long time for something that's extremely simple. Theoretically, I could have just turned it upside down, but then I have the.
I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I mean they've got like gases and stuff in them, so
not great. I mean, how much of that $20 per year goes to the LED though?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to keep that on or not because I can turn it off if I want.
It's good ambient light.
Yeah, I like it. I do like it.
Well, speaking of things that had good ambient light, we are going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 14 tonight. There's only one episode left. This one is called Flash Strike. But before we get to that, any other Star Wars news which has come out that we want to touch on?
I'm trying to. I was thinking about that before this. The only thing, I mean, there was we got a little look at Tales of the Empire, that Grievous scene, very short. Looks good to the surprise of no one. That'll come out in just not like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's next weekend. So, well, it's on Star Wars Day. So yeah, we are 9 days away from Tales of the Empire.
Right, crazy. The only other thing that I can think of is we got some more information, I guess, about the Phantom Menace re-release, which I don't know. I saw the Phantom Menace in theater just 10 times when I was a kid. So I don't know. I think they've gotten my money. I'm probably good. Most of this stuff, for Canada, when they do the special re-releases, they'll be one show and it's in Toronto anyway. So
yeah. I never saw Phantom Menace in theaters, but I don't think I'm going to.
I saw when they did the 3D version.
I forgot that happened. I haven't seen that at all.
It was I'd say the pod racing was pretty cool. My buddies and I, we all got stoned out of our mind, which was kind of a weird experience because it's such a children's movie. Like it's like the most children's movie I'd say of any of the Star Wars movies. So that was interesting.
When was that? That was like just pre-COVID, wasn't it?
No, this was like 2013.
Was it that long ago? Oh my god.
Yeah, it was.
Insane.
It might have even been earlier because I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was before Disney purchased Star Wars.
I've mostly combined from 2012 to
Yeah, it was
2019
2012.
into 1 year.
It was
So
2012.
that's fine. But
Because they were. I don't know if they were planning on doing all of the movies, but they were planning on at least doing the other prequels, and that never happened, for better or for worse. But yeah, it was 2012, I guess.
I never really loved the movies that got like converted into 3D where it was just like doubling the image because it didn't look fantastic. But like I've never been someone that struggles with the like motion sickness from 3D or from
No, me neither.
VR. Like I've never had the headaches or motion sickness from it. So it's usually been better for me than for other people at least.
VR kind of gets me. Like especially if I'm moving around.
Yeah.
Like I can't play that horror game we play. I can't play that in VR.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phasmophobia. I can't do that in VR. Even like the blink mode, I don't like it. I did one time I played like probably 4 hours of the Half-Life Alyx just fine. So maybe I think it's probably due to the fact that I do have an older kind of cheap headset.
Yeah.
So like the refresh rate's bad and everything. But yeah, 3D movies don't bother me at all. Like I remember people getting really sick when Avatar came out, like the first one. But other people were like sitting in the aisle because it was like, whoa.
Like I'm fine with that stuff, but like being in a vehicle kind of gets me. So
Oh really?
maybe it's like an opposite thing for everyone, but
Yeah, my wife is like that. Like there's a road that I take the kids on if I want them to sleep, and it's very like it's around a lake. It's like a back road. It's smooth, like it's nicely paved, but it is kind of like twisty and hilly. And like if Kelsey's even like if she checks her phone, she's gonna get sick.
Yeah. Oh well. Never gonna see any 3D Star Wars ever again, anyways, because that fad's gone. But yeah. So how do you feel about the release schedule for stuff? Because we've got the Bad Batch coming next week to an end. Then 4 days later, there's all of Tales of the Empire. Then we have like a month off before, I think exactly a month before the Acolyte starts coming out, and that'll be weekly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna. I mean, I wouldn't have minded if they like moved Tales to the Empire a bit more in the middle, but yeah. Other than that, I guess that's probably why, in hindsight, they. Do you think that's why they made the Bad Batch finale one episode, or do they like so they could get Tales of the Empire on May 4th, or what?
I don't know. I feel like that decision would have been made
because I guess they could have always just changed the start week.
Yeah, like I think it's probably unrelated, but I mean, I don't know if it's just because I want to make content that's more spread out on it as a YouTuber that makes me want like that. I would have preferred having like Tales of the Empire broken up into like every week you get 2 episodes or something between Acolyte and Bad Batch. I don't know if like that's just such a niche concern for me, or if other people prefer watching things that way. Like I would have preferred Fallout being a weekly release.
Did you watch that whole show?
Yeah, I'm fully done with it. I love
Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, so like I totally agree, and I put a video out talking about the Fallout show, and I hate the binge method, and I think like most people kind of agree with that. I don't understand why. It seems like Amazon is really the only one who still does it, as far as like I can't think of. I guess Disney Plus does occasionally, but generally most places, it only makes sense. Like I feel like Fallout would have been a much bigger show if they had staggered it, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I wouldn't have minded. I mean, ideally for something like Tales of the Jedi, it would be nice if each of the episodes were a bit longer, and then they can do a weekly release. Because yeah, that was definitely one of my complaints with Fallout. I was surprised by how many people were the opposite, though. Like in my video, I got a lot of comments from people who were just like, "There's no benefit to this shit," like really passionately defending the release in that way, and I just don't get it at all personally.
Yeah, like I prefer having the opportunity to talk to people about like what might happen next,
Yep.
or to the biggest thing for me, I think, is that I'll feel overwhelmed with how much stuff I could be watching, and then just give up and not actually watch it if I feel like I'm falling behind on something.
Yeah, that's exactly why I've watched 2 episodes of Fallout, um, and I haven't bothered finishing the rest because it's kind of overwhelming to have like 6 more to do. So
Yeah. Oh well, maybe someday they'll decide to not do that with Tales of the Jedi style stuff, but we'll see. At least the shows aren't like that. I'm glad that we don't have that with the other shows. That would be kind of shit. But
yeah, no, I agree.
I hadn't really considered the runtime. I guess that makes sense considered like some of the Tales of the Jedi stuff was shorter.
Yeah, it could be like 12
So
minutes long.
yeah, so that's fair enough. But what did you think of? I think that's all the news. So what did you think of Flash Strike?
I'm just I feel like I've said the same thing the past 3 weeks. Like, good episode in its own right, but like I don't know if it makes sense as a second to last series episode. Like even as I think I'd be saying almost the same thing as a second to last season finale episode. Probably not, I guess, because we're wrapping up, I guess, one arc, the Mount Tantus clone prisoner arc, but I don't feel like it's wrapping the show up, or it just doesn't feel like this should be the end of the show for me, I guess.
What elements would you think would need significantly more time to get into? We kind of talked about this last week, but
That's kind of the thing where I don't even know. It just feels like the show touched on a lot, and it's end up narrowing kind of to one plot, which is something that shows always do. Like in Star Wars Rebels, obviously they've got lots of adventures.
yeah.
Then in season 4, it's all about the Lothal and Thrawn's TIE Defender program and stuff, and that's fine. But I don't know. It feels like, I don't know. Like with the show, I guess I'm just waiting, or I have been waiting for something else. I don't even know what it is. But like whether it's the development of those spy characters, whether it's more information on what Rex is doing, and we're definitely going to see Rex next episode. But I don't know. It just feels like they're spending a lot of time, just doing plot when you'd think they'd want to be wrapping up story, I guess, and setting things up for the future. But I don't know. What do you think?
I think the last couple of weeks have been, they've had reveals for the characters where like a lot of the reasons that there might be less to talk about with this episode and the last two are
Mhm.
because the reveals in the episode are the characters finding out things we already knew. Like
Mhm.
in this episode, it's like Omega finding the Zillo Beast, which we knew was going there in season 2. So we are getting to the point where like a lot of those threads we're seeing how they tie into the story we're telling now of like getting Omega out. But I guess like if the story of the Bad Batch is getting Crosshair out of the Empire, getting Omega away from the Empire, and then they decide like they finally find a way to go be safe. I think that's kind of the core of what they're doing. So
Mm.
just getting Omega out of there and then retiring on a rock somewhere might be the end of the story.
Yeah.
But like I don't think they're going to get to the end of like I never expected to find out the end of what was happening with Rex, for example,
No,
in
I agree.
in the Bad Batch, and I kind of feel like there's something really weird I saw today, where someone was talking about how like shout out to Star Wars Rebels for being the only
That's the
Star Wars show
stupidest
that
goddamn comment I've ever
yeah,
seen.
it's like the only Star Wars show
Sorry,
that wasn't
you
setting
didn't
up
finish the
perfect
comment because
content.
I cut you off. Some people are gonna wonder what the.
Yeah, so the tweet was basically shout out to Star Wars Rebels for being the only Star Wars content that didn't spend most of its time setting up for something else. And it's like the one plot line, like maybe you feel that way because Rebels was tied into the rebellion, so you can kind of already say the rebellion storyline was wrapped up in the movies. But like the way that show ends for the characters in it is that Thrawn and Ezra are off somewhere. Like
Yeah.
it's very open ended and very much needed something like Ahsoka to come along and tell the next stage in the story. So that I didn't really understand. But
yeah, I mean, that makes no sense. Like, Star Wars Rebels is arguably the one with the most time spent up,
yeah,
like setting up future shows. It literally ends with like a flash forward to the beginning of the other show with Ahsoka meeting Sabine to go off on their adventure together. So yeah, that's a completely nonsense comment.
like with the other stuff, like I get what you're saying, where there it feels like there are things that aren't likely to be tied up, but maybe it's just I'm being too charitable with it, where I feel like it's more that these are side elements that are related to what the Bad Batch are doing, but they're fleshed out enough to feel like there is more going on there than we're seeing, which could be like done in a different show or done in other media, but is just kind of a supportive element. Like what Rex is doing is not necessarily core to what Hunter, Crosshair, Omega, and Wrecker are doing. It's core to what Echo's doing, but Echo was barely on the show to begin with. But the fact that it's fleshed out enough to feel like there's more going on in the galaxy is more of a positive to me than like a hanging thread.
Yeah, I guess like, so for me, I can't even really point out to what's missing, but when I see like the last episode again, a lot of action, or second last episode, a lot of action scenes. We got another creature scene for like 4 minutes. I'm just kind of left thinking something is a little weird about how this show was structured, where the second to last episode doesn't feel significantly different than a random episode midway through season 3 or season 2 rather. Where like with Star Wars Rebels, obviously the Clone Wars is different because it kind of just ended, but with Star Wars Rebels, like the last 4 or 5 episodes, really the last half of the season has a like a distinct finality to it. Like you can tell things are different. We've got major characters dying. We're working together towards the big last mission, which I guess the Bad Batch also is doing, but it just, they do a good job of making it feel like this is the end. This is different. With the Bad Batch, it just feels like another mission, I guess.
So you think then maybe it's an element of like them holding too close to their chest and like not having anything wrapped up along the way yet? Or okay. Yeah. Like I don't know if maybe like the length of the final episode would change that feeling.
Yeah, it's going to be at least 2 episodes long. So yeah.
But I kind of wish we knew by now what that runtime was going to be, because I think for a lot of them they said in advance what the runtime was.
Some of them were leaked by that guy. I forget his name.
Yeah, but they've done like announcements too. Unless that was just leaks and I'm misremembering them. But,
yeah, I think you might be thinking of the leaks, but I'm not sure.
Okay, but like also just we're what 4 days out now, so it would be nice to get people starting to be built up for that. But oh well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the episode itself, like there isn't too much in the way of new developments for us to talk about.
Well, you predicted one of them.
What did I predict?
The Zillo Beast being the key to their escape. Well, I think a lot of people predicted it, but you mentioned it last episode, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just Chekhov's gun rule kind of situation. But I don't know. Do you think we'll find out what they wanted the Zillo Beast for?
I don't know. I mean, the simple answer is it's kind of implied. Maybe it's not, but to me, it always seemed like it was for some sort of armor, because the Zillo Beast is so resilient to like every weapon they use against it. So I always figured they were testing it for some sort of maybe anti-Jedi armor or something.
Yeah, it's either like the armor, like is it the energy absorption stuff? Like is Palpatine still reeling from the Windu duel, and he just wants to not take that shock to the face again?
It's possible.
Doesn't work too well for him, knowing what ends up happening with Rey, but
he does that to himself. The dude's just an extra bitch. Like he's just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like I just think they're cute, so I'd keep one. But
yeah, like I was just like swimming around, and it's like just, that was kind of funny. It wasn't in water on Malastare, was it? Or was it Malastare it was on?
When they find it first on Malastare?
Yeah, I remember the episode. they drop like an ion bomb on like a bunch of droids and wake it up.
Yeah, I don't know
But
if
it
it
was
started.
swimming, and I can't remember if it was like frozen or in suspended animation in the Clone Wars, but it wasn't swimming. I don't think anyway.
Well, maybe that's more to do with like the electrical stuff too, where they don't want to. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's some kind of solution to stop electricity from being zapped through.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't seem happy to be in there. They are still zapping it a lot, though.
Yeah. They're
So
zapping the shit out of it.
that's not very nice of them.
Zillo Beast just wants to chill and just never gets the opportunity. It's weird ass fingers.
Well, they've been able. I guess that's an option for what might be in the tubes of potential Palpatine clones, because he did want to clone it, and we haven't really seen any progress on that.
It's just the Zillo Beast's weird ass fingers. Like it's little like ribbon fingers.
Palpatine wants to get some shit done with those.
I just think they're cute.
I could tickle so many people with the
Yeah.
Imperial Court could use more tickling.
And like the Zillo Beast reveal is cool, but it's also like that's another example of we knew that was there. And we know what the Zillo Beast will look like. You know, the Bad Batch is certainly not going to pass up the opportunity to let another big monster roam about. We also know from one of the trailers that Rex will be there.
Yeah.
Because there's shots of Rex firing. I don't know if just Rex, I can't remember, but firing his blaster on what looks like a jungle planet. We haven't seen it yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, Echo, when he's leaving the ship, there's all those like he's in front of the computer. So I don't know if he was able to grab some coordinates off of that, or if that's something that you wouldn't even be able to get on the ship at that point when you're there, because you're not supposed to be able to know that, even for the people who have been there. But
yeah,
Echo has to call in Rex somehow.
Things with Echo are easy because he just needs to slot in somewhere, and he can get pretty much any information the plot requires.
Yeah, that's a fun part about Star Wars computers, I guess. All instead of binary, it's just left and right a lot.
Yeah.
Is that converted from binary, or?
What I was wondering is, can he manipulate his hand?
No. I was wondering that as well, but
he's got the dummy hand.
Yeah. It's just on there. It's like did you ever watch Prison Break?
Not really. A little bit. Like I'm familiar with it. It was such a hype show, I know, when it was first airing.
There's a guy called oh shit, my microphone has been so low this whole time. There's a guy called Teabag on it who loses his hand, and then he just starts going around Jamie Lannister style with
I forgot the name he does.
First a fake hand. I think he has a fake hand, then a real hand, then a fake hand again. But when he has the real hand, it doesn't work for him, so it's kind of gross. But that's what I was getting.
That robot who he did teabag his hand from had such a I can't remember if he had a Scottish accent, but I thought that was funny. The droid he shoots.
I wonder if there's like a per ship, like a place in the ship where you can customize your loadout for like all your droid accents and stuff, because that's the same kind of
just
logistics
droids everywhere.
But yeah,
calling each other by and saying "where are you to" and stuff. It's like, what does that mean? Where are you to? I don't know what that means.
That's the way the rebels communicate. Just get enough local dialects in.
Yeah, just enough weird noofs. my dad's a newfie, and like he's been in Nova Scotia for like since he was 18, but sometimes when he's around the newfies, especially if he's been drinking, it's like a whole nother language, man. I'm just like looking back and forth, like, what the fuck are you guys saying? Like,
yeah, we had some family friends who were Scottish, and especially like my cousin's grandpa, when he started drinking, being able to understand him was impossible.
Yeah, Scottish is even crazier. I did like, so the star of this episode I thought was Echo, obviously. I like the pure disgust he has for what's her name?
Yeah, Dr. Carr.
Dr. Carr. Yeah.
I'm just doing my job.
It's like, yeah, okay, fucking Nazi guard, the concentration camp, like, fuck you. He takes
Yeah,
his helmet off and looks right at her, all disgusting and fucked up.
and that's
Which I liked
before he
because,
hears about the kids too, right?
yeah, because which it was, pretty poignant because the same thing happened to him. Like he got
Yeah.
experimented on within the CIS and now he looks like a freak. He got race swapped. You ever get experimented on so hard you get race swapped?
That happens to a lot of the Bad Batch for some reason.
Yeah.
Weird.
It's like my brothers were like this because of a genetic aberration. I got fucked with by droids and turned white.
I
It's
think
like me with my camera brightness, all my white balance all messed up still.
yeah, otherwise he wouldn't be white at all.
No.
Right. But I was kind of thinking whether she would have felt the same way if it was one of the other Bad Batch. Like
Yeah.
whether it really took Echo being Echo to kind of drive home how messed up some of the experimentation was, or has she been like ready to jump ship and just didn't really feel it was possible until these soldiers that Omega has been telling her about show up in the base, like, oh, maybe this can actually do something.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the latter. Like she pretty clearly knew, I think, for a while now. But obviously it was the one with no hands, so she could recognize them instantly, which was helpful.
Yeah. Well, I feel like any of them, they're pretty noteworthy. Like there's the one that's like bulky as fuck. There's the guy with a mullet at a time when I don't know if they're in style in Star Wars. And then there's the guy that kind of sounds like a child predator. So
yeah. Speaking of child predator, what do you think is going to happen with Rampart now?
I feel like Crosshair is going to want to rescue him, right? Like they have Crosshair kind of looking back. They have the goading of Rampart of like, oh, we only look out for ourselves, and like I feel like they're gonna recognize that they brought Rampart there kind of against his will, so they owe it to him to not leave him there.
It's been sort of a weird one with Rampart where like it's pretty clear we're supposed to like him, and I do like him because he's just so like he's so dumb. And like he's just like the most Imperial ever, and he hasn't really done anything to make up for his evil deeds. Like he destroyed Camino,
and then he's trying to like bribe Crosshair into abandoning Hunter and Wrecker when they're standing right there.
Yeah, so it is a bit weird that like we're supposed to like him now, even though I think a lot of us do. But yeah, it's just a bit odd. Where like we're supposed to feel bad for him, and obviously, we're supposed to care that the Empire has him now, and he hasn't really earned that yet.
I don't know that we're supposed to care so much as like we're supposed to care that the Bad Batch should care because they put him in that position. Where like it's less about what did he do specifically than the principle of the thing. Where like beyond that, I think the way they're trying to show Rampart is like as someone who's kind of still scum and is like for some reason still believing in this system that is perfectly happy to abandon him until he maybe has a change of heart of some kind. Like maybe he was forced into a position where he might have a change of heart, but it hasn't happened yet. But at least like maybe that could happen, and then you just kind of take it for what it is. But
so you're saying he's basically Crosshair if Crosshair didn't have a spine?
Yeah, I think that's what he's there to be.
Okay.
And like we're about what a year and a half into the Empire at this point. So
yeah,
like he's had enough time. He's had at least a little bit of time to figure out what's going on.
Did we talk about last episode that really cool shot they had? It was like they were looking at Mount Tantus from like bird's eye view, and then it turned into the interior.
Yeah,
it was like, yeah, that was cool. I don't know. I was just thinking about that. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why I completely changed topics. I was just gonna say I really like. Shot. Yeah, and I really like. There were some cool ones this episode too. I just really like the scale of that science frigate coming, or the science whatever it was ship coming in, like with the escorts, and then dropping in the big ass hangar. And this show continues to look really good. That's one of the things I'm gonna miss the most. Seeing all this Clone Wars and new Empire stuff in such high fidelity has been really neat.
Well, if it is just like a direct sequel going into like Omega and Ventress or something, then I'm sure we'll get even more of that.
Oh yeah, for
The
sure.
one thing that's been missing are the lightsabers,
Mhm.
where they did a lot of changes visually to how they wanted to show the lightsabers. I think you can see a lot of that in Tales and in season 7 of the
Mhm.
Clone Wars,
Yep.
where like sometimes the floppiness of the blades is a bit much, but I think overall it looks really good. We're gonna see a lot more of that in Tales of the Empire, but
Yeah.
hopefully even more soon.
Yeah, my biggest problem with the Clone Wars and how it does lightsabers has always been that like the fighting style, nothing to do with the lightsaber itself, just the fighting style is so like snappy, where it's like, you know, they're always just like
Yeah.
um and it almost it feels like, you know, they're toys. But that's just kind of I think an animation style thing. Even with, I guess, you even see that sometimes in the Bad Batch with how they fight, where it's just like crack, 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 instead of just
Yeah.
like, you know, more smooth. And but again, that's just like a stylistic thing, so it's whatever.
Yeah. Like they definitely do emphasize the impact more than the
Yeah, that's a good way to
like
put
it's
it.
definitely destination over the journey, I guess.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
anything else in this episode that we haven't really covered yet? I think like Wrecker gets wrecked, Crosshair's tremoring, the Bad Batch is not even in the base yet, and things aren't looking super great for them.
No, they got shot down really quickly. Yeah, it's I'm going to sometimes with the Bad Batch, like I don't watch it right away, and I'll even check the Reddit to see if like I need to watch it you know, ASAP, or if I can get away watching it that afternoon. I really want to go into this finale completely blind because I'm curious to see who makes it out. I really don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to check our predictions again between this week and the finale. If anyone remembers exactly what we said and wants to post them in the comments, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, save us
But
the effort.
I'll find them if not, and then we'll see how correct we were. Cameo wise, especially, I don't think there's really been
No,
any cameos that would make
no.
us right or wrong. So
Yeah, there are definitely fewer than we both expected, I think, which
yeah,
I've got no problem with.
yeah, that's fine. Like the big one was Ventress. It's just that we couldn't guess Ventress because, well, for one, we thought she
Yeah.
was dead, and for two, she was in the trailer,
Yeah.
so they kind of gave away that big one. But yeah,
Yeah, there was some freak who would have called Ventress anyway, but it would have been like the Ventress #1 stan, like that is Veers in it guy on Twitter.
yeah. I mean, there was a is Ventress around, or no, it's the Barris one that was
Oh
kind of
yeah.
the same situation. But yeah, so yeah, I think that's it for me. Anything else you want to say to the nice people out there?
Nope. I'm excited for the finale.
All right, we'll be back next week with some more discussion of the Bad Batch, and then after that, following week we'll be talking about Tales of the Empire, and then someday we'll get back to Destiny's Way. I am halfway through the book still, so I'm gonna have to probably reread it by the time we finish. Whenever you're
Yep.
able, whenever you're able to do it. Destiny's
I'll
Way.
get it done. I'll get it done.
Okay,
Okay.
it's gonna be soon. We should also
Soon.
do Living Force if we can in the next month.
I'm down. I'll just do
All right.
the audiobook for that one.
All right, maybe we'll do that sooner then.
Okay.
All right,
I
so
gotta
we'll
finish
figure
my
it out.
freaking audiobook listen of Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
I've been like on Two Towers, but like the last quarter where it's just Sam and Frodo. I'm just
Mhm.
slowly getting through it. Sam, Frodo, and Gollum. It's just they're walking down a dark, dusty road again.
Yeah, that's 90% of the books. And
Oh,
then they're
Gollum's
talking
hungry
about
for
like
a fish again.
elven
Okay.
etymology for some reason when it's just the two of them. It's like, guys,
But
this is
like at least
appropriation.
for the other, like at least for it's just I wish in hindsight. I mean, I don't remember having read this as a kid or having read it as a kid. I believe I did once, but I didn't remember that the book splits where it's like the first half is everybody, and then the second half is just them. I wish, and it's like it takes place during the same time, so I wish they would have jumped back and forth, probably. But whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I to be honest, ended up skipping a lot of Sam and Frodo chapters too when I read it. But I might have to shut down this channel before next week's Tapcaf episode because I'm doing a video in the lead up to episode 1 coming back out that's at least 50% powered by spite. It's not that bad, but it's like all the comments of like, oh, politics in Star Wars didn't used to be on the nose. It wasn't. It was universal themes. So I did a video about like the most explicit stuff in episode 1, where it's like characters named after people, policies that George Lucas specifically named, and I feel like that might get. Hopefully, that gets spicy.
One thing that I recommend you do. One thing I recommend you do. Go into your comments. Go to your comments held for review, and then scroll all the way down. And YouTube actually hides the nastiest comments behind a second filter.
Ooh.
And you actually, when you click on it, it's like they're not just held for review, they're hidden. When you click on it, it gives you like a warning. It's like these will be like terrible. So like every once in a while, every once in a while, I go through and read those.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'll need to remember that.
Yeah.
Well, the only one that's currently there is someone just saying to someone else, "Go eat dirt." So it's not even that bad. All right. Well,
okay.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. See you on X2, youtube.com/ECKSTOO, and twitch.tv/Corey Loses tonight. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't do that on